Here's some paper towel. And here's some coloured water. I'm going to get some into the little eyedropper. Here we go. And slurp, slurp, slurp. Got the red colour in the eyedropper. And now squirt, 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 squirt. Ooh. What's happening there? The red colour is all soaking in, isn't it? Making big, big blobs of red. Let's try the blue one now. And slurp, slurp, slurp. And squirt, 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 squirt. And what's happening this time? Ooh. Wow, what a great pattern. All the blobs of blue are spreading out into great big blobs of blue. Red and blue paper towel. And on the other side, the same thing's happened because all the colour has soaked through. Towels soak up water. Just got a bit of dye in my hands, I'll give them a wash. Wash, wash, wash. Now I've got wet hands. Dry them off with some paper towel. This is the way we dry our hands on a Friday morning. Yeah, dry hands. Okay, a different sort of paper now. Greaseproof paper. Sort of waxy greaseproof paper. Do you think that this water is going to soak into this paper? Let's have a look. Lay it down there and we'll get some blue colour into the eyedropper. There we go. And squirt, 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 squirt. Ooh! What's happening this time? The colour's not really soaking in, is it? It's just in little beads of colour sitting on top of the paper. You might try the red one and see what happens. Squirt, 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 squirt. Look at that, little beads of colour just sitting on the paper, and if I hold it up, woo, all the colour runs off. Better soak that up with some paper towel, I think. Make the table a bit dirty. There we go. Well, we know that greaseproof paper doesn't soak up water, not like the paper towel. Greaseproof paper might be good for something else, though.
'Cause it can float. Like this. A boat made from greaseproof paper. Float, float, little greaseproof boat. But this boat is made with a paper towel. Wonder if it'll float. Let's see. Launch the paper towel boat into the water. Uh-oh, it's absorbing water. Going soggy. Uh-oh. Sinks. Not much use making boats out of paper towels. Greaseproof paper is much better for making boats. Two little sailboats sailing in the breeze. Whoosh. Little boats are sailing, sailing, sailing. Little boats are sailing on the sea. Let's hoist our sails now. Little boats are sailing, sailing, sailing. Little boats are sailing on the sea. Here comes a strong wind, sailing in a strong wind. Little boats are sailing, sailing, sailing. Little boats are sailing on the sea. Big storm now. Boats rocking in a big storm. Little boats are sailing, sailing, sailing. Little boats are sailing on the sea.